The Emerald Tablet, Chapter 27. The Owner of the Universal Travel Agent. Only the dim lights lit the map room when Benjamin and Heidi walked out of the Universal Travel Agent. Iva, Andy, and Gary were pointedly absent. Benjamin looked down to find he and Heidi both still had on the fancy formal clothes they'd worn for dinner in Xanadu. "I don't know about you, but I for one am glad I don't have to explain this outfit to Andy," he said with a chuckle. "Oh, I don't know. I kind of like this," Heidi said, twirling around. Benjamin couldn't help but stare. She still looked beautiful. "I wonder what Sunita Manvar and Julie McFarlane would think. I may start dressing like this more often," she said. "Where to?" he asked, shaking himself out of his stupor. "The dining hall? I think you'd be a little out of place." "Yeah, maybe so, but it sure is pretty." Heidi looked around. "We should probably head back to the school." "Creepy wailing we heard back there," Benjamin said. "Yeah, creepy," Heidi shuddered. "You know, it's okay to talk about what happened back there under the fountain." "There's nothing to talk about," Benjamin snapped. "It was just a little test, that's all. Stop reading my mind." Heidi bit her lip, and small tears crept into the corners of her eyes. "I wasn't reading your mind, Benjamin," she stated. "I would never read your mind unless you told me it was okay." Immediately Benjamin regretted his accusation. He hadn't meant to hurt her, but he had. He could see it in her eyes, and he could feel it through the alliance bond. He stopped and looked right at her. "Hey, I'm sorry. It's just that you're so good at telepathy, and sometimes I don't like the thought that you can listen to whatever I'm thinking." "Just because I can listen to whatever you're thinking doesn't mean I do listen to whatever you're thinking," she replied. "Besides, you're getting a lot better at blocking your thoughts. With more practice you may actually be able to keep me out if you try." Benjamin started laughing at the thought. "I'm willing to bet it'll take a lot more practice before that happens. Anyway, there's nothing to talk about." "If you say so, but I'll always be here to listen if you change your mind," Heidi said. Benjamin gave a small smile. "Thanks. Let's just get back to the school." "Yeah, okay," she replied. Behind them the Universal Travel Agent again came to life. Its borders glowed red, and Benjamin heard the swirling sound of the vortex. Benjamin felt like he should run and hide behind something, but the room was empty except for the maps on the wall. With no other choice, he and Heidi both turned to look around. Without delay a man arrived in the room. He was unmistakable with his long dark hair. Upon his arrival all life snuffed out of the Universal Travel Agent. He began walking, but stopped as he saw them near the entrance to the room. "You two are up a little late, aren't you?" "Helios Deimos," Benjamin said. "What are you doing here?" "I think it is I who should be asking that question," Helios replied. "The map library closed hours ago." Unlike the times they'd met him in the past, Helios's face was void of any smile. "We were just in here looking at some of the old maps," Heidi said. "Does looking at the old travel maps entail the unauthorized use of my personal travel agent?" Helios asked. "Your personal travel agent?" Benjamin said. "So you turned it on?" Well, that cleared up who had enabled the device. "Yes," Helios replied. "I use it from time to time when I have business outside of Lemuria to attend to." "So where were you tonight?" Heidi asked. "The whereabouts of a ruler of Lemuria are not the concerns of Year One Denarians," Helios answered. "And now, if there's nothing else, I must ask you to leave." Benjamin and Heidi did nothing short of run out of the library. It wasn't until they reached the main level of the ruling hall that they finally spoke. "Don't you think it's strange he didn't even ask us where we went on the travel agent?" Benjamin asked, catching his breath. "Not if he already knew," Heidi replied. "Did he?" Benjamin asked. Had Heidi been able to read Helios's mind? She sighed. "I have no idea. I tried to break through his mind block, but it was pointless. He could have been in Xanadu at the same time as us, for all I could tell." "But what reason would he have for being in Xanadu unless he were following us?" Benjamin asked. "You think one of the rulers of Lemuria would be following a couple of Year One Denarians around?" Heidi asked. "All I'm saying is that it's a little bit suspicious that we ran into him after visiting Bangkok and then again tonight," Benjamin said. "Both times we came back with a key of Shambhala." "Do you think he's the guardian?" Heidi asked. Ben shrugged, but didn't reply. It was late, and at this point all his mind wanted to think about was sleep, not the 3 keys of Shambhala. He had 2 of the 3 anyway, which wasn't all bad. Quickly they walked down the hallway leading to the entrance. "Does the Atlantis scale look even more off balance than it did when we were here last?" Benjamin asked as they walked past the 2 large barrier strength scales. Heidi stopped and studied it. "Maybe a little. Isn't it supposed to be okay for years? Do you think its failure rate is increasing?" "I sure hope not. We still have one more key to find, and then we have to figure out how to use them to fix the barrier," Benjamin said. He rubbed his eyes. "What time is it anyway?" Heidi glanced over to the wall where a large clock was inset. "It's almost midnight," she said. "No wonder I feel like I'm about to collapse." They continued on, and using one of the public teleporters outside, were able to quickly get back to the school. Benjamin found that Andy and Gary were both still awake when he got back to the room. "Where have you been?" Andy said. "Did Heidi make it back with you?" Gary asked. "I heard you guys talking in the map room, and then the next thing I knew there was no sign of you." "Yeah, we waited around until they kicked us out," Andy said. "Did you guys try to use the Universal Travel Agent?" Benjamin asked. "The what?" Andy replied. "The big map on the wall with the glowing red borders," Benjamin explained. "We didn't see any glowing maps," Andy replied. "It was right in the middle of the wall, in the Special Collections area," Benjamin said. "Special Collections?" Andy asked. Benjamin opened his mouth to speak, but shut it again. For whatever reason, his friends hadn't been able to find the Universal Travel Agent. "So where have you been?" Gary asked. "And what's up with the outfit?" Andy said. "You look like something out of Arabian Nights." It figured Andy would mention the outfit. "It's a long story, and I'm beat," Benjamin said. "Can we talk about it tomorrow?" "Are you kidding?" Gary asked. "Yeah, are you kidding?" Andy echoed. Benjamin chuckled. "Okay, I'll give you guys the short version, and then I'm going to bed." He reached into his right pocket and grabbed the first key of Shambhala and placed it on his desk. He reached into his left pocket and pulled out the second key of Shambhala, putting it next to the first key. The two keys began to pulsate as they'd done before. "You found it?" Gary asked, amazed. "How in the world did you get it? How were you able to travel?" Benjamin quickly relayed the story: the Universal Travel Agent, Xanadu, and the dinner with Ananya and the golden-haired man. He didn't mention the test in the cavern, or the strange wailing they'd heard while leaving the place, or even that they ran into Helios Deimos. Some things would just have to wait for tomorrow. "Man, you're the luckiest guy I know," Gary said. "You managed to be in exactly the right place at the right time, find what you're looking for, and get in a gourmet meal while doing it."